Record.
Okay, we all set? Good evening. Everybody hear me okay? All right, good. Welcome to the regular October 24th meeting of the Weaverville Town Council. I'm Jeff McKenna. I'll be taking over for Patrick tonight. Ms. Cordell is also missing tonight. So before we get started, we have some adjustments to the agenda. I'm aware of at least one, correct, Jennifer? Do you want to go ahead and mention that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Discussion items number A and B. The submitter on that has asked that those two items be pulled from tonight's agenda and placed on your November meeting agenda. That's all I have.
Okay. And so for anybody in the audience, those are the voluntary annexation petition for 171 Monticello Road and the consideration and conditional district. So this is an affordable housing project. So if you're here for comments for that, that has been delayed till next month. Just to let everybody know. Any other adjustments from council for the agenda tonight? Okay. We've got two public hearings scheduled tonight.
Mr. Vice Mayor, let's get a vote on that. Motion to approve the agenda as adjusted.
Thank you.
Need a motion? I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Okay, the agenda is approved. So we have two public hearings scheduled tonight. One is for a code amendment for retail uses in the C1 district in town. And the second public hearing is for a proposed sidewalk priority list and updates to the comprehensive land use plan. So we'll be holding the public hearings right back to back. For both of them, members of the public are welcome to speak during this. We have a couple ground rules. They're very simple. Any of the topics could be submitted in writing in advance of the meeting and will be received during the hearing. We have some basic rules of decorum applying to all the comments. Actions and behaviors can be questioned, but personal attacks will not be tolerated. This is a time for town council to listen, and council and staff may not necessarily offer any response during this time. Comments during the hearing are generally limited to 3 minutes. The town manager will keep time. If you hear an alarm, it indicates your 3 minutes are up. You're not going to get cut off in mid-sentence, but you do need to wrap up your statements. And if you wish to speak, you must identify yourself by name and state your street address. You must be recognized before giving your comment, and you must come to the podium to speak so we can all hear you. And we have some written comments that if they're received before the hearing, will be provided to town council.
It looks like, I'm looking at James, we have not received any written comments in advance of either of the public hearings.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn these over to James Eller to run both of them on the public hearings.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to appear before you this evening. The first of the two public hearings is on a proposed text amendment to the table of uses specific to general retail uses within the C1 zoning district. The C1 zoning district is Main Street. It is our downtown commercial district. What this code amendment attempts to accomplish is to require any general retail uses north of 5,000 square feet to be subject to the conditional district approval process or review process. This amendment originated as a recommendation from the Economic Development Advisory Committee. It moved forward to the Planning Board in September, if I remember correctly, and the Planning Board has reviewed the proposed text amendment before you and offered a unanimous positive recommendation on these proposed changes. This public hearing has been duly advertised. Those affidavits came in the mail today, so we're in good shape there. And at this point, I'll ask if anyone has any questions. We've been Provided Vice Mayor the sign-up sheets there, they are empty, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Yeah, so I don't show anyone having signed up for either of these at this point. Is that accurate, or anybody in the audience for the public hearings? Okay.
James, I have one question. Does 5,000 square feet apply to the building only or the building and the lot?
It's 5,000 square feet is the size of the structure.
Okay, just.
Mr. Vice Mayor, it would be appropriate if we don't have anybody in the audience that have indicated that they wish to speak, you may want to ask if there are any of our remote attendees that would like. So to do that, if anybody is on, joining us remotely and you wish to provide a comment on this particular public hearing, if you will raise your hand. And that feature is found in the reactions button. And I'm not seeing anybody that has indicated that.
It's okay.
Did you ever open up the hearing?
Okay.
Vice Mayor just declared it open.
Okay.
Right. That's right. All right, so that would address the first one then.
Yes,
So we
you can declare the first public hearing closed.
Okay, so the first public hearing regarding retail use in the C1 district is now closed. And we'll now move on to the hearing on the sidewalk priority list and updates to the comprehensive land use plan. James?
Sure. So as you may recall, at your previous meeting, the decision was made to include the proposed sidewalk priority list with the update of the comprehensive land use plan as well. So this has been sort of presented to you as a package deal now. The reason for this was the passage of 160D. Any amendment to the comprehensive land use plan has to follow the same track as the zoning text amendment. All of that has occurred up to this date. What these updates are for is the inclusion of the sidewalk priority list within the comprehensive land use plan. We also have an updated fact sheet showing just updated demographic data for the town, as well as an updated table of the priorities of the comprehensive land use plan. So all three of those are included for this public hearing. We do anticipate that they be considered for inclusion in the town's comprehensive land use plan, which is updated annually. That's all I have as an introduction. As always, happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
And that did get a positive, unanimous positive recommendation from the planning board who reviewed that at its September meeting as well.
James, the priority here, was it assigned on the usage or what was the basis? I assume this is a priority of what's to be done.
Staff's opinion, planning board's opinion, this list represents a couple of things. It's sort of loops that would provide connectivity to the existing sidewalk system. And there are some spurs in there as well, such as Church Street and Salem Road that would provide sidewalk connectivity to the existing sidewalk network from sections of town that don't already have that, where there's at least sizable population in those areas that could benefit from that additional infrastructure.
Yeah, what I really was wondering, reading this, is Reeve Street going to be the first one that's done and South College and Brown the last one? Is that what we're?
So let me touch upon that. This doesn't obligate the town to build any sidewalk whatsoever. The reason for this is there's a bit of a gap in our subdivision ordinance currently. What this does is sort of shift sidewalk construction to the private side if we experience development in these areas.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we don't have anybody in the audience here on public hearing. Did we say on the remote?
If anybody is joining us remotely, would like to offer any comment on the proposed sidewalk priority list and updates to the comprehensive land use plan, if you'll raise your hand. Again, that's under the reactions button. And I'm not seeing anybody.
Okay, so no takers on that. So that public hearing is closed. And so now we'll move on to the consent agenda by Town Manager Coffey.
Thank you, Vice Mayor McKenna. Good evening, everyone. Just to briefly go over the consent agenda for you. On page 21, you have September 26th, regular meeting minutes. On September 20, you have those minutes for the regular workshop. And then you have a July 19th, that was your joint meeting with town council and planning board minutes for included there. On page 26, you have your monthly tax report. Nothing out of the ordinary there. We're early in the tax collection year, roughly $650,000 current year collections, and that's about 16%, which is pretty typical for this time of year. On page 31, you have a budget amendment. Actually, the budget amendment itself is on page 32, but a little more explanation is on 31. The Public Works Department, as you all know, we use gut deals to sell. It's somewhat like an eBay for government entities, and we are able to sell equipment there on a bidding platform. And the Public Works Department recently sold some outdated pieces of equipment that totaled $18,482. It's very good timing that we were able to sell that equipment because we needed to purchase the curb machine that we'll be using to do the curbing for the safety features that we're putting up at Lake Louise. So that will be a really good offset for some of that, for all of that, $11,000 for that curbing machine. In addition, on that budget amendment, you have a cost for kids, revenue and expenditure is an articulate way of accounting for those funds. On page 33, you have a road closure ordinance. This is for the Christmas parade. The Christmas parade is, as always, the first Saturday in December, December 3rd, and beginning time of 1 o'clock and end time of 3:30. You see the map there. And so we ask that you approve this ordinance declaring the road closure for that. The next item on consent agenda is page 37. And these are rules of procedure for town council. This is a follow-up to town council's workshop meeting on September 20th, where you had discussion and presents a revised set of rules and procedures for town council's consideration. We would ask that you approve and adopt the rules of procedure as presented with an immediate effective date. And there's several pages to write, so we'll go then directly to page 62. This is a code amendment. This is a code amendment for combining, basically rolling into the zoning board of adjustment activities, rolling the appeals, animal control appeals board into that function. We rarely have animal appeals in town, which is that's a good problem to have. Because that means that we're not having as many dangerous dog type events as other places do. The mayor has recommended the town council consider designating the town's board of adjustment to hear any future animal appeals cases, which is a really good way to go about this because the board of adjustment is well versed at dealing with quasi-judicial, and the animal appeals board has to follow a very similar process when they are reviewing those. So we would like for town council to give some consideration to approving this code amendment, giving that direction to staff. Then finally, board appointments begins on page 66. And this is board appointments for Ryan Gagliardi to be appointed as an alternate member of the planning board to serve an unexpired term that is due to expire September 2024. And then Brent Koenig, appointment as an alternate member of the board of adjustment to serve an unexpired term that is due to expire September 2025. And that is all of the consent agenda, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Okay. Any questions or from anyone on council? Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Make a motion.
And Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong, with the new rules of procedure, we don't need a second.
But you haven't adopted your rules of procedure yet.
You got me.
The last-
Got me there. All right. After this one.
Picky.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
We need a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adopting the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Okay, the consent agenda is adopted, and we do not need a second anymore. Although I'm told if we give one, you know,
Perfectly fine.
the world won't fall apart or anything. Okay. All right,
More flexibility.
let's move on to town manager's report.
Yes, sir, and thank you. The very first item on my manager's report, and I'd like to ask Scotty if he would, or Chief Harris, if he'd like to go to the podium and say a few words, but I want to introduce you to our new fire chief. And he came to us most previous to this from Northern Wake Fire Department, and then was recently, prior to that, was fire chief of town of Black Mountain. Chief Harris has served in fire and emergency services for 30 years, with the last 18 in senior management roles in municipal, county, and combined fire departments. He's also served 8 years in contract fire services at U.S. Army installations in the Middle East, as well as U.S. Navy support facilities in Diego Garcia. His master's degree in organizational leadership from Waldorf University, a bachelor's degree in fire administration, an associate's degree in fire services from Columbia Southern University, and his extensive resume in fire and emergency services. I will speak for Chief Davis and I, who he helped me with the interviews, and I will tell you that Chief Harris is the cream of the crop, and I think he's already doing great things, and we look forward to having him. Chief Harris, if you'd like to say anything.
Thank you, Major Coffey. I appreciate the words. I mean, it's been a pleasure so far working with the management team. Looking forward to continue working with the management team that's been established with the town, becoming an integral part of the team. Vice Mayor and Council, we look forward to getting some feedback from you as where we grow from here. And we look forward to that interaction as well as the community itself being out and engaged and involved in the community. The fire department, just as well as churches, have always been a stakeholder in the community, and I believe in continuing that aspect of the fire department get out, being involved in our community and seeing what the members of the community want, how we can assist them. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
So the next item on the town manager's report is just to let you know that, as you will recall from the budget process, you approved funds for the deployment of a system development fee study. And this is required for us to do this in order to charge system development fees. Those are formerly referred to as impact fees. So we have to, every 5 years, have a study in order for us to continue this, and our 5 years is up as of July 1, 2023. So we have, that was budgeted, and we have gone ahead and executed the contract to begin that process with Wildan Financial Services. So there'll be, I would anticipate that staff will begin working with them very soon on that. And that will actually come back to you, any final work product from Wildan will come to you once it's complete. To give you an update on the recreation complex, Public Works has contacted the same landscape architects who did the designs for the grounds and parking around the new community center in reference to assisting us with the recreation portion of that property. The firm Sidework Studios has experience with pickleball and other recreational aspects of the projects, and they will, I'm sure, do a great job assisting us with final design, permitting, bidding, and construction inspection. We are expecting a proposal from them outlining their services by the end of month, and it's coming up real quick here. We're planning on beginning construction in early spring. We do also have a number of stakeholders that are very, want to be involved and want to help in any way. And several of those, Vice Mayor McKenna has sent our way, and so we look forward to working with them to work on various aspects of building a nice pickleball facility, as well as some space for basketball and family game space as well. Just to let you know, the Patriotic Activities Committee has planned a wonderful program for Veterans Day. It'll be held at 11 o'clock on Veterans Day. The program will be held at the community center, and so we look forward to having that and hope you'll join us for it. The November workshop is November 15th. We'll be focused on water-related topics. Staff has been working really hard at checking off a number of boxes and have gathered a lot of information that we're going to provide to you at that workshop, and I'm looking forward to us presenting that to you and giving you some good news as to where we're going with regard to accomplishing the items that the town council approved in your resolution recently. Couple more things. U.S. Cellular Tower, it was about a year ago that U.S. Cellular came to us with a proposal for $217,000 for perpetual easement for the tower located down the Quarry Road. You gave me the direction to negotiate with them to try to get more out of them for that. We were able to get up to $270,000. However, town council had some problems with the actual agreement that they proposed to us, and one of the biggest issues was the ability, the agreement as they proposed it to, as U.S. Cellular proposed it to the town, indicated that they could increase the height of the tower. And then there were a couple of other smaller issues that town council had with the agreement. So we chose to go ahead and stay with the $22,000 annual amount that we get for the lease of that tower, that space and property around, immediately around. U.S. Cellular now has come back to us with $325,000, well, roughly 325,800, roughly, for a perpetual agreement. They've also indicated they'd like to consider a long-term lease extension with us if we are not interested in the perpetual agreement. Sorry about that. I would like to hear from town council as to how you would like to proceed, not necessarily at this meeting, but just reporting it to you, giving you the opportunity to give it some thought. If you have meeting information, that's fine to share with me right here. But one of the things that I would like to do is with some of my peers, other managers around us have worked with other companies that consolidate. So, for instance, I think there's a company called American Tower, and I think they actually work with a number of different cellular mobile companies, and they're able to, is my understanding, they're able to work with those and maybe get more opportunity for funding by working with additional companies. So I'd like to explore that as an option rather than we just immediately say yes to this $325,000. The letter they sent us with the proposal for the $325,800 did not give us a date for a deadline. So I'd like to explore that, but in the meantime, if any of you have comments, please call me or email me with those about what your thoughts about it would be.
So I have one quick question. Was the letter including the original request regarding height and the other conditions, or Was it unclear?
It was unclear. Jennifer's feeling, we've talked about this a number of times, Jennifer's feeling is that probably has not changed.
Okay,
We obviously could go back to them and say we could do that, but you've got to remove this, this portion. But last time they did not indicate they were amenable to that.
thank you.
So also a follow-up to a question that Councilman Nagel posed at the last meeting, that was the use of solar panels on roofs in order to charge EV charging stations. I have reached out to a couple of companies to get some information about that, but I have not received good information that I would say is ready for consumption and consideration. But I have reached out to some folks, and if any of you know folks that are consultants for solar companies, please send them my way. I think the more information we have on this is better. So please send them my way if you do have folks.
Yeah, one guy that I introduced you to before, I know Ron spoke to, Stan Cross. So he's in that sector very actively, and I would think could give you some good advice.
Yeah, we worked with him on the VW.
Right.
The VW grant too, so very, very familiar with what he does. So that's, thank you for that.
Okay.
I'll contact him as well.
Seems like Duke Energy also has some preferred vendor providers.
Okay, great.
Given that there's been some not so great activity from out of towners selling solar.
Right.
Selena,
Selling solar.
will the solar proposal that you're looking for, will it include backup like batteries? Because most of the energy will be, I would say, charging it will be at night, because depending on what kind you get, it can take several hours to charge it. So I guess we would have batteries for backup from solar.
I would make that assumption, but again, I'm not an expert. I'm gonna dive into it though and try to get answers to those kinds of questions. Two more things. One's not listed here on the report, but I want to bring it to your attention. One is Christmas parade. Obviously, you approved the road closure ordinance for the Christmas parade. We are working on the preparations for the parade. Please let us know, let me or Shelby down at the community center know as soon as possible if you plan on riding in the parade. And also if you have an interest in town council riding together in the parade. In years past, we've tried to get convertibles for you to all have a convertible to ride in, or two of you to ride in. And it's getting more difficult, and a lot of those folks were frankly Dottie's friends. And so she was able to twist their arms to get them to help us with that. So if you, please, number one, let us know if you plan on riding in the Christmas parade, and number two, how you would feel about riding in a, Dale doesn't know about this, but maybe having one of the public works trucks pull a trailer, and we decorate a float for you, basically. A real basic float, but something that's nice where you can all ride together.
Yeah, not the chipper, right?
No.
Maybe the
Don't want to fall in the back of that puppy.
He's making a note.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked.
Finally, and this is not on your report, but we have gotten a fireworks quote for, it's almost like these big events, we go from planning one to jump right into another one that's 6 months later. We did get a quote from the same company for a 10% increase, going up to 27.5 this year. So I'm assuming town council wishes to proceed forward with fireworks. But if you are not, please let me know. We can obviously put this on an agenda later if you want to have significant discussion about it. That's all.
Do we, when we get those quotes and we use them every year, do we ever validate it against other municipalities and what they're paying?
We do. Generally, what I'll do is I'll contact the folks that I work with a lot, the managers, and and even go call other folks and get additional quotes too, who've done that before, and that's generally about, I mean, I haven't looked at I haven't looked at any this year, because we just recently got this quote, from them. But if you have thoughts, or if you want to, if you're to the point at any point in time where you want to scrap the fireworks altogether and just have a downtown celebration of some kind, or that kind of thing, it'd be a good time to let me know so that we don't go ahead and sign the agreement to purchase those. We do have to probably make a down payment, a substantial down payment when we do place the order. So, you know, if there's any hesitation whatsoever from town council, let me know sooner rather than later.
What's your drop dead date on that?
I'd have to go look at the agreement, but I'd say we've probably got a couple months.
Okay.
Solid.
Okay, great. Thanks, Selena. Any questions on the town manager's report? Okay, perfect. All right, so now we've got general public comment scheduled. And just a quick note that, and similar to the earlier comments I made on public hearing, we appreciate the opportunity to hear from residents anytime. And part of each of these meetings is reserved for that. General public comments can be submitted during the meeting or in writing in advance. They can be on any meeting topic or any other item of interest. Otherwise, all the same rules that I covered earlier will apply. So we have one person scheduled or signed up, Terry Yeager.
Good evening, Terry, here 107 Oakland. I just wanted to mention I'm in the Citizens Academy. I am sorry I didn't get a chance to see go to the police department one, but I can only tell you that the people that we have working, I have never been so impressed with a group of professionals that we have. I went to the fire department one, that was great. Gene Zeller and Jennifer was so knowledgeable. The public works, I was at, I forget which other one. But anyway, my only point very simply is, you talk about being a dedicated group of folks at every level. It is unbelievable. So I'm so happy to be a citizen here, so happy with all the things that you guys have done, and appreciate all the efforts. So, thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it. Any other public comment? About anybody remote, Jennifer?
If anybody on remote would like to submit a general public comment, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing anybody.
Okay. Seeing none, then we'll move on to the discussion and action items. So the first A and B on the agenda, the earlier agenda, are off now, which I show the next one then would be the code amendment, Chapter 20, the retail uses in C1 district, which James has covered earlier and in the past, and didn't have any public comment on that tonight. So I think at this point, do we have a motion to move ahead to pass that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of moving ahead?
Aye.
Aye. All against, say no. Okay, so that passes. Then the next item on the list is the sidewalk priority list, which we also covered earlier. You have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against, say nay. So that passes. And we're just knocking them down. Comprehensive land use plan update is the next. All in favor, say aye.
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 We,
Oh, we needed the motion.
we didn't get a second on that.
Got in the groove there, sorry.
Need a second. Get rid of those.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
okay.
With this motion, it would be to amend the town's comprehensive land use plan to include the updated table of stated goals, responsibilities, and priorities, the updated fact sheet, and the newly approved sidewalk priority list. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against, say no. And that passes. Okay, so that covers the discussion items, and then we have a couple quarterly reports, first by Planning Department, Mr. Eller.
Thank you again. I was expecting a much longer evening.
Good job.
See you.
Congratulations.
So you have the numbers before you. I'm not going to dive into those too much. They're pretty self-explanatory. With the exception of new single-family residential dwellings that came in at 7 for this quarter. That's one of the lower numbers that I've seen in the amount of time that I've been employed here. I don't pretend to have any great insight into what that may or may not mean, other than for whatever reason, we just don't have any active subdivisions anymore. You have activity of the planning board from July, where they joint meeting with council, updates the comprehensive land use plan, and then also in September, where they consider the sidewalk priority list and the text amendments to the C1 zoning district that were passed just moments ago. And the board of adjustment did not have any meetings during this time. Happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Any questions? Okay, thanks, James. Then we have the quarterly report on finance. Tanya?
Good evening, council. I always go last. So tonight I have the first quarter of current fiscal year, 2023, report for you. First, I want to give you a quick update on the prior year. Financial, our audit has been completed. It's being submitted to the government commission this week. So people and one of the auditors will be here next time at your November meeting to present their findings. This night, page 95 of the agenda, chart showing the revenues analysis. And then, as in the past, the current year quarter, September 30th, 22, and 3 prior years. The first column is 2019, and 20 and 21 in the current year, and the final column is the prorated budget. Across the board, you'll see that our current quarter numbers are higher than previous years. And in all cases, it's higher than the previous years, and in many cases, it's higher than all 3 of the previous years. You see up there. The first group is the ad valorem tax. Our current year levy came in about 6% higher than prior year, about $230,000 higher. This year was not a reevaluation year. We had no increase to our tax rate, so that is just from the blood in the area. Sales tax in the middle of the chart there is continues to exceed our expectations. Previous score at the time of this report, the first quarter of distribution had not come in, it just came in today. A little over 80,000, which is right in line with what we have budgeted. And then the final column is the water revenue. Current quarter numbers is 13% higher than the previous year's quarter. Which you'll recall we've had a 3% water rate increase in this year's budget. Last year we ended, I look back at last year, we ended about 14% higher from the previous year, and that was with a 4% water rate increase in the budget. So we're seeing about a 10% increase that's not attributable to water rate increases. So on the next page, our expenditures. Levy changes here, as relates to the capital purchases that are in the current year budget, you'll see our actual numbers kind of line a little better than our budget numbers. Following pages, 97 through 106 are the line by line detail, part of the division. You want to see detail at that level. If you quickly investigate 107, we have two current capital project funds, the recreation complex, the data center, and the water treatment plant. Nothing has been spent on either of these projects we want to do. These two projects, funds, so much less. And finally, on page 109 is the ARP grant project fund. We did receive the second half of our allotment this past July, so we are now in full receipt of the $1.28 million you see there. Just as a reminder, these funds have to be obligated by the end of 2024, December of 2024, must be spent by the end of December of 2026. That is all I have for you tonight.
Any questions? Anybody? Great job, Tanya. Thanks for all the detail.
Thank you.
Okay, so that wraps up the regular parts of the agenda. Jennifer, we have closed session scheduled, correct?
Yes, sir. It would be, at town council's prerogative, it'd be appropriate to go into closed session as allowed by North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318.11A5, in order to establish or to instruct the town staff concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the town in negotiating the price and other material terms of the contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease.
Okay, so do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Okay. I think we are in closed session now.
Let's take a vote.
Pardon me, jumping ahead. All in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say no. Okay, we are in closed session now.
Be 5 minutes, so.
5 minutes? Okay.
Sorry. The river rail.
We are. So you're back in open session. We just need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Not too bad. A little bit of an hour.